All right, it is 4:01 and you're live.
Thank you very much. With those of, let's see, I'm going to identify who's here at our meeting that I can see. Myself, Madeline, Dana, Wendy, thank you for being here. Pam, John, Mark, Dan Hunter, what are you here for?
Hello, I am here as an agent for Joe Valetti and Monica Pluto.
Say that again.
I'm sorry. I'm here as the agent for Joe Valetti and Monica Pluto for an appeal.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
No problem.
And Phil is here. Carrie is here. I see Phil, you're on twice, it looks like. And Stephen. So good. Thank you everyone for being here. We'll start with approving the minutes from the February 4th meeting. I make a motion, we approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Dana. Any questions about the minutes? Okay, let's vote.
Chair Merzick,
Yes,
Commissioner Palmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Grimm.
Yes.
Passes.
thank you. Our first item is a update from 8 3rd Street. John, I think you're up on this. We have declared it unsafe. And there was sort of a feeling that it was beginning to be safe again and we should lift the unsafe. The owner doesn't want us to. So John, fill us in on what's the latest.
So I actually went to 8 3rd Street on Tuesday at 2:30. It was scheduled with Angela Fry, the tenant, initially, and then it was canceled and rescheduled for this past Tuesday. I got a call from Penny Trimble, the owner, saying that she had been to eviction court that morning, and that the judge basically granted her access to the building to accompany me during the inspection. And when I talked to Penny, she also requested that an officer be present. So Sergeant Pajerski from OPD showed up at 2:30, and he basically stood by while I inspected the house along with Penny. When I went in this time, I noticed that the couple who had previously occupied the basement that said they were moving to Albany had moved back into the building. Not into the basement, but in a front bedroom that was previously occupied by a different tenant. So there was two people in that bedroom along with a baby. Angela was upstairs in her bedroom the entire time. And then a son, an adult son, and I'm assuming somebody who is staying with the adult son in his bedroom. So we had all the occupants there again. I was able to count about 5 dogs, but I couldn't verify that. So I reported that to OPD as well. They had an officer respond there yesterday. The dogs are not licensed. So he said, you need to license your dogs or he will, I guess it's arrestable. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I also said she had garbage around the property, which we had received a complaint about. I emailed her. This is the tenant, Angela. And I said, we got a complaint about garbage at the property. If you'll go ahead and clean that up. And she questioned what I was talking about. And during the inspection, I saw the garbage. It's the same garbage I had told her to remove last time. And at that time, I informed her she had 7 days to do that, or she'll be summoned for that. And the conditions in the house, fire safety wise, I mean, the smoke detectors are in place, fire extinguishers in place. I would say the egresses are a little bit reduced, but the main thing that I think would drive the fire department crazy is the amount of combustibles in there. We've got half of the basement which again, this is nothing that has changed. It's just moved location to one half of the basement, and it's piled almost to the ceiling. I think they would be irritated by the amount of stuff that's in the house. And then on the outside, we have the trash, which is a sanitary issue. We have a box spring and a mattress, and then we have some more trash to the left of the driveway, which I'm certain it belongs to that property. But I don't know if anybody's going to take ownership of that. And then inside, there was definitely an infestation of fruit flies. Because everywhere I walked through, there were, uncountable numbers of fruit flies. And then in the upstairs bedroom, there were dog feces on the floor. It looked like they had been walked over and dried to the hardwood floor. And, just sanitary wise, I don't feel comfortable with.
So it's not your recommendation that we lift the unsafe this time?
No.
Okay. Thank you. I don't, that requires no action on our part. We have not set a deadline for lifting the unsafe. Again, we thought things had straightened around a little bit in terms of the fire safety, but I see that it's back. So, I think we will, unless we have some objection from members of the board, we will keep the unsafe in place for now. And again, we'll keep it on our agenda. Any discussion by the board members? Yes, Dana.
We declared it unsafe. We said that it had to be cleaned up, otherwise eviction, correct? If I remember
Yes.
what the notes are. So we do nothing because the process already started on our side, even though eviction hasn't happened, correct?
Well, evictions were put on hold by the state
Correct.
because of COVID. And so that's been very, very difficult. Ordering something vacated is a little bit out of our hands. We've been assisting property owners. We're going to come to another one, I think, later in our meeting, where there would be a desire by the property owner to evict the tenant because of all the conditions that the tenant is creating, but it's very difficult to do. So yeah, that's the one thing that they haven't been successful in doing. I think if the house were empty and cleaned, we could lift the unsafe. I don't think there's anything structurally wrong at the house.
And it's my understanding too that the judge has scheduled, they're already in the eviction court proceedings, and she scheduled another court date for the 23rd. And Penny advised me that she does have the authority to evict her if the building is in an unsafe condition. So chances of this going through, I think Penny was pretty positive that this was going to be an eviction.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And does that answer your question, Dana?
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if because he's saying there's so much combustible up downstairs,
Oh, yeah.
because it's not in a healthy state, does the fire department get involved at that point and start finding the owner or the tenant at that point? Or is that something that, because the cops were there, I'm assuming, with the dog thing, like how does that work?
So
Because garbage is still cleaned up.
the fire department depends on the code office to be the enforcing agent of the fire code. So the fire department doesn't levy fines. The code enforcement office has to either write tickets that are then processed through the city court, or we can issue administrative fees, but administrative fees are tied to administrative processes. So what we would have to do is we would have to write a ticket for the flammable, like the combustible material. We would have to give them a certain amount of time to remove it, which is typically 30 days. So in theory, by the time they would even go to court for that material, they would already have been, theoretically evicted based on what we've been told by the owner and what the court has said. So, yeah, I mean, at this point, like, it's an unsanitary condition. if the court decides not to evict these people, then we would, we would process tickets. We would go further than that. But at this point, I mean, the odds of them even going to court before the eviction is processed is minimal.
Thank you for the clarification.
And then
Okay.
whatever, the thing with dogs, the court has given them a timeline, or the police have given them a timeline to get the dog's license. And if they fail to do so, then they said they would make an arrest.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Stephen. These are difficult circumstances, and we're only part of the solution. If there is, something positive going to happen. Okay, so moving on, we have Mr. Hunter here representing 59 Elm Street and 64 Elm Street. And my suggestion is, since their circumstances are very similar, we should take them together. If you look at the documentation that was provided by the property owner, and I'm a little confused because the one person, the property owner is Monica Pluta, but the second appeal for 59 Elm Street was Joseph Valette.
Yes,
So
husband and wife,
say that again.
husband and wife.
Okay. So the property owner failed to get the paperwork in on time. The electrical certificate, which would have resolved the administrative fee, was received. It was inspected on December 2nd, and it was received by the Code Enforcement Office on December 31st. And that's why the $404. The deadline for the submittal was December 8th in both cases. So, Mr. Hunter, do you have a explanation as to why the certificate wasn't filed in a timely manner?
Actually, I do not. It's a third party. It's a third party because we have to hire an electrical inspection service to do it. So Commonwealth Electrical Inspection Service performed the inspections that were necessary, but for reasons unknown to me, they were not received by your office until I'm being told the 31st, even though they were done a week in advance from the actual due date of when they were supposed to be done.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
On both places or just the one place?
Both places.
Are we talking about 59 Elm Street now?
And 64 Elm Street.
64,
They're
okay,
basically owned by the same people.
okay.
And they were both inspected on the same day, apparently.
Mhm.
So do you have some kind of like a canceled check for the inspection or any proof? I mean, I see that the certificate says, December 2nd.
Right. I mean, I could try to attain one. But I don't have one with me right now.
Generally in these cases, the administrative fees are in place to encourage properties to be inspected on a regular basis.
Mhm.
And we think the fees are kind of high at the beginning, but then, that's the way the Common Council set them up. So they accumulate quite fast. Why don't we make a motion, since this apparently was done in time, why don't we make a motion that we approve the appeal pending receipt of some kind of documentation from the owners that it was done at that time and not fudged, the date wasn't fudged.
If it means anything, I'm sorry if I'm interrupting, if I'm out of
No,
line, I apologize. If it means anything, I was in communication with the inspector even up until the day before on the 7th, because I was very concerned about these because they were cutting it close. And he had assured me that they were passed in. That's why when I received the fine in the mail, I was actually very surprised about it, because he had assured me that it was in. But I'm wondering if I cannot attain, I'd have to talk to Joseph and Monica about attaining the check that we paid with. If I can't attain that check, I mean, I know we paid him because it was done. And what then? But also I do want to mention that with the certificate, being that it's not even the electrical inspector himself that actually passes the certificate, he's the inspector that passes it on to the mother company, I guess you'd call it. So
Yeah, right.
the Commonwealth Electrical Inspection Service, which is actually out of Pennsylvania, is an entirely third party to the inspector and myself. So it's not something that can be fudged, as you called it. It's something that's written by them. So it's not even based on my relationship with the inspector himself.
Yeah, we understand that. It's
Yeah.
just that we,
Okay.
and one thing, we're probably going to approve your appeal. But one thing to let the owners know is that it really is their responsibility to get it in. And if they get an inspection done, it doesn't hurt to call the code enforcement office and say it's done. And then we have or email the code enforcement office and say it's done. That way we have some record that bolsters what you're submitting.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Thank you very much,
I
Ms.
agree
Kelly.
with you that get the certificate's a formal document, that they probably aren't fudging it, but it disturbs us that over and over again, these forms are coming in late. And it means a lot of paperwork for the code enforcement office, and sometimes we do get fudges. So anyway, that's just my opinion. How do the rest of you feel, board members?
I agree. I agree with everything you said. I think as long as he can get some proof to us by phone or whatever, the forms need to come in eventually, but the fact is it's been done. At least we're being told it's been done.
Copy a canceled check or receipt of a Visa, PayPal payment, Venmo payment, whatever, however they paid.
Some kind of proof. If it's no more than a phone call, it'd be something that,
Yeah, and you can have them email or drop off or take a picture of or whatever, anything that gives us some
I agree with you.
comfort level. I mean, we understand where you're coming from. And you aren't the first person to not get their paperwork in on time.
course.
But it is, we need to remind the owners that it is their responsibility, and they need to communicate with the code enforcement office, not just say, oh, well, it was done, so they'll get the form in, because that's why they get a bill.
That is something.
Or if you were, Mr. Hunter, if you were well aware that it was really coming due on the 7th and in contact, say, hey, Joe, hey, Steve, hey, whoever, this is who I have. I'm trying to get him to get you the paperwork, and they'll sometimes even step in for you.
So that's a good point. Thank you, Dana. So there's a motion to approve the two appeals for 64 Elm Street and 59 Elm Street.
Second it.
Additional discussion? Okay, you can call the roll there, Carrie.
Chair Mazick,
Yes.
Commissioner Palmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Grimm.
Yes.
Passes.
Thank you. Now we'll take Wendy. Thank you for your letter. You have sent in a letter appealing the snow shoveling at that was done on let's see, when was it done? It was done on the 22nd of January. And we're going to look at some pictures, and then it'll be your turn to say something. So here's the property. It's 36.5 Luther Street. And this is the before picture was taken at 4:10 PM on January 22nd. You can go on.
5.
There is the side yard.
Yeah, that's the snowfall that came in that day. That's the snowfall that came in that day.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, we're not. Yeah. So this is probably what dropped between your lunchtime and the time that you left at 5. Yeah,
Hey, Marge.
because remember we got that large snow squall, but when you came back from lunch, so that's probably what this is. It's just the stuff that dropped between you were back from lunch at 1:15,
Well,
and then you went home at 5. So that's probably what that was, because it was done in the morning.
according to the weather.com, the prior day there was no snow. The snow on that day started falling at 6 a.m. and fell sporadically throughout the day. Before my sister and I left work for our essential jobs, my sister being a cafeteria worker at the Oneonta High School, having to be in work now by 6 a.m. and I myself having to be here at the Daily Star by 8 a.m. So this snow fell periodically throughout that day.
And we shouldn't have, yeah, okay, I hear what you're saying.
And, oh, sorry.
Okay, you're good, you're good.
Marge, we have that document.
My sister having been in,
Okay, go ahead, it's still you're still
my
on the
sister
floor.
we have lived at this property since 1986 and 1988 respectively. And my sister has worked as a cafeteria worker, normally at Riverside School, but due to COVID, she is now working out of the Oneonta High School. We have never had an issue before, because if there was a 2-hour delay for school, or school was closed in its entirety, she was always home to remove the snow before 9 a.m. But due to COVID changes, she is now required to be at work every day at the high school between 6 a.m. and 1 p.m. And I myself am here from 8 to 5. So in the past, she would have been home to shovel, but there is no 2-hour delay for school or snow days due to COVID.
Right. Okay, so John, you had something to say?
So what our typical policy, I just want to make sure.
Turn yourself up just a little bit, you're a
Yeah,
little,
I don't know what's going on with my audio. It cuts in and out on me.
Can't hear him.
Can you hear me okay?
No.
You're very faint.
Okay. I might have to end up dialing in. I've had problems with my microphone, I'm sorry. What about now?
No.
better.
That's better.
I'm gonna have to move very close.
Okay.
All right, so
That's
basically
better.
our policy in our office is, that particular day, we shoveled quite a few properties. If we were to ever shovel during a snow event, we would have appeals for every single one of the snow removal fees that we got. So we don't do that. Our policy is to wait until after the snow event is clear, or if the snowfall has occurred overnight, we would expect it to be clear by 9 a.m. in the morning, which we actually document every snowfall in our Outlook calendar, and I have the snowfall being that previous evening.
Okay, so I'm sorry. My name is Pam. I'm actually Wendy's boss.
And she's actually at work. That's why she's on the Zoom call and you see my awful office here.
That's all right.
So the day that you guys are talking about, I actually picked her up for work at, I think I was running a few minutes late, so I think it was about a little after 8, and she was shoveling her sidewalk at that time. So that's why I'm here with her, is because I'm a witness that she did have her sidewalks cleared. So she does have to normally be to work at 8, but we had some issues during that week with the office and having to have stuff done. So we only had very few people in the office. So, but this is why I remember this day specifically. When I picked her up, I think it was about 8:10, she was shoveling and sweeping and salting her sidewalk. And I have to come down, is that Burnside?
Mhm.
Which is the one side of her house, and turn onto hers and then pull into her driveway to pick her up.
Thank you for that insight. It is true that the contractor didn't get around until 4 o'clock. And what you say may be true. Again, I don't remember. I did so much shoveling this year, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Whether it snowed, I mean, we have had several events that snowed during the morning and then let up. And this may be one of those. Under those, and as John said, we've done a lot of shoveling. So Dana, I see your hand up.
No, sorry, I was telling my husband.
Okay, all right.
I can't hear.
I was trying to find you in the top to see who it was.
Yeah, I know, right, there you go. So board members, what do you think here?
I know it kind of sounds like she'd done part of it and then had to go to work and then came back and finished it up afterwards. So the pictures kind of let you think that it eventually got done. But I don't know. I hate to see if somebody has to pay that kind of money for half a day, but I don't know.
So,
Anybody else?
John, you said, John, that according to, we got it the night before. Did I hear you right on that, or?
Yeah, so what we've been doing, because we've done a tremendous amount of snow removal this year, is we actually document in our software here when the actual snowfall occurs. If we were to attempt to shovel during an active event, which is against the code, we would have appeals until September.
Right.
If you go to the weather.com and Google Oneonta, New York on February 22nd, it will show you that it started snowing at 6 a.m. and snowed sporadically throughout the day.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I don't normally interject at this point, but I know that it will sometimes rain on my side of the street and not on the other side of the street in Oneonta. Just to put that out there.
That's
Yeah,
true.
and I just wanted to add one more thing, because we had an issue that day here. We have a loading dock that kind of has a little angle on it. And if any amount of snow drops, that our 18 wheelers refuse to back up to our dock because they can't get out. And I think it was about 1:30, 2 o'clock, there was a tremendous amount of snow squalls. And I didn't realize it until a trailer rang the doorbell and said, "I won't back up to your dock until your plow guy comes to scrape that." I mean, any amount of snow on that little incline just has an issue. So, and like I said, it was only me and her here because we had some health concerns here that week. So that day is very, very fresh in my mind.
Can we see the pictures again for a minute, if that's okay? Please.
Yeah, I like to look at those again too. So what time of day is this? Was that?
So
picture?
do you normally, sorry, I just had a question. So sorry, I wasn't sure if you were gonna ask a question,
Can't
Madeline.
see
I
the
want
time
to-
part. That's 4:10 in the afternoon. Okay.
4:10, the top right corner indicates the timestamp.
Ms. Horth, do you normally, that's the picture I wanted to see, Carrie. Do you normally take care of your, it looks like the walkway is on your corner there, that you're on a corner property, I'm assuming, and you
I
salted,
own a corner property and myself and my sister reside there.
okay,
We've
so.
resided there for over 30 years.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion just based on the pictures, not saying that the city is not saying properly, but it very well could have been a day that I do remember where it kept snowing on and off all day. You can see that it was somewhat previously shoveled, and there was a very clear cornerstone there where the walkway is for people to come on and off of the corner. I'm gonna make a motion that we waive this fee.
I'll second that motion.
Would you repeat your motion?
Yes, so my motion is that at no fault of the city, nor the person that removes the snow for the city, but rather waive the fee based on the fact that it looks like.
Waive the fee.
Yes, waive the fee, that the property owner did look as if they did do this property at some point in that day.
Right.
Only because you can see that the corner is completely cleared, where there's a walkway for people to get on and off of
Right.
the sidewalk.
Well,
Um,
And I looked at weather.com while everyone was talking, and they're absolutely right that it snowed in the morning and then dropped off in the afternoon. So by the time they went to work, it was probably snowing. And when they came back, we had cleared their walk,
Exactly.
even though like it was cleared at 9, but
That's what I was,
or
sorry, that's
mostly-
what, when I said I don't remember it myself, but I looked online, that's what I just did while we were
I'm sorry.
chatting.
what day
yeah,
did you
that's what I
guys
just did
Google?
too. So I thank you.
Sorry, dude.
Would you just identify yourself by name so I can call you something?
Pam, I'm sorry, Pam it was, correct?
Sorry,
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm getting a, yes, Pam,
Pam, thank you for your.
I'm sorry.
advocacy.
The mask is
You're
killing my throat.
Yeah, right. Thank you for your advocacy on the behalf of Wendy and her sister. I think, we've all examined the evidence, and I think at this point, the motion is on the floor is to waive the fee. I have a second. Any further discussion?
Sorry,
Okay,
excuse me for a second.
yep, just go ahead, Carrie.
Chair Marzuk,
Yes.
Commissioner Palmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Grimm.
Yes.
Passes.
Well, okay, thank you very much for being here with us, Ms. Horth and Pam. Thanks.
Is she gonna,
I thank you very much for your time in consideration of my appeal.
is she gonna get something in the mail stating that's gonna be waived for her?
Yes.
Okay,
She'll receive a letter from our office indicating that the decision that the board had made.
okay, sorry, sorry, geez.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's move on to 68 West Street.
Are we able to disconnect? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes, you're all set.
Okay, thank you.
And sir, you just joined us. Would you just identify yourself? You're
My
Mr.
name's,
Bourgeois?
yeah, I'm Phil Bourgeois, yeah, the owner
Okay,
of
Thank you
68.
for being here. Great, it's nice to see your face and recognize that you're here. So 68 West Street, we're going to look at some pictures. We're going to identify those items which the Code Enforcement Office has indicated to you. Now tell me when you had the fire.
I believe it was December 2nd.
So this is damaged by fire. As
Yep.
you can see, in the outside of the house, there's quite a bit of debris. Obviously, the building itself has been exposed to the elements. There's apparently some roof damage. Did the firefighters open up the roof to?
Yes, yeah,
get
they
at the
did.
fire?
There's a big old
Yeah.
hole right in the middle.
Yeah, I know. So this is the house in question. The Code Enforcement Office has identified 3 items that would qualify under Chapter 92. And I should go back just for a minute. Under Chapter 92, the Board of Public Service serves as a quasi judicial board to determine whether the decision of the Code Enforcement Office to declare the property unsafe is appropriate. And so we have really a 2-step process. First, we determine whether the conditions are actually there according to our own evidence and the testimony of both the owner and the Code Enforcement Office. And then after we make that determination, we have a decision to make as to what we're going to do with the property, with the unsafe property. We really have 3 choices. We can order it vacated, we can order it repaired, or we can order the property demolished. And those are our 3 choices under Chapter 92. So at this point, we're going to identify those items which were identified by the Code Enforcement Office, which were under Chapter 92D, those which have been damaged by fire, wind, or other causes so as to become dangerous to the life, safety, morals, and general health and welfare of the occupants or the people of the city of Oneonta. E, those which have become so dilapidated, decayed, unsafe, or unsanitary, which utterly fail to provide the amenities essential for decent living, that they are unfit for human habitation, or are likely to cause sickness or disease, or to work injury to the health, morals, safety, general welfare of those living within. And then I would like to add I, let me read that to you. I, which is those which because of their condition are unsafe, unsanitary, or dangerous to the health, moral, safety, general welfare of the people of this city. Just because of the debris outside. And then J, those buildings which exist in violation of Chapter 300 zoning. Those are the conditions which we're going to consider. And we're going to hear from the Code Enforcement Office, and then you'll have a chance. Okay. Thank you. So we've taken a look at the pictures. I've done a drive-through. I see that the conditions are as they're shown in the picture. So what conditions or what additional comments do you have, John or Stephen?
It's nothing really. I mean, he attempted to, can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna dial in here soon.
Here, I can tell you what's going on here. Basically what happened is we were made aware of this fire and the condition of the property. It's been a couple months. We need something, like the property needs to be secured. Obviously some of the debris needs to be cleaned up. I mean, we have nothing on file for this property, whether it's being repaired or what the intent is. So, I mean, I think it's reasonable to say that this property is unsafe, and that at least the large amount of material needs to be cleared from the property.
I agree.
And it's secured. You know, we worry that kids can get into it. That's the sort of thing we worry about. So, Mr. Bourgeois, what would you like to say?
So the house is actually secured. The whole backyard's gated in, and I had several of my friends came over, and we just took pallets and kind of secured that wall that was completely burned down. The top is tarped, so there's no way into the house. It is unlivable now. I mean, the fire department or whoever cut the power to the house and the heat to the house, so I'm not living there now. It is uninhabitable right now. The biggest impetus to getting it fixed, which is my plan, is just waiting on insurance. The whole process has taken 3 months. I just received my first check to start repairing it last Friday. But my contractor is sick right now. I'm really hoping it's not COVID, because he has to just come up with a plan for the bank letting money out of that account so we can get going.
But it is your plan to redo the house and bring it back up to code?
Oh yeah, Yeah, I've just been waiting and fighting with insurance the last 3 months. It's been
Well,
miserable.
we're particularly concerned about all the debris that's outside.
Mhm.
That is dangerous to people who are not in the house, but who are strolling by.
Oh, curious.
You know, it could encourage rodents. So, well, let's decide whether the house is unsafe first. So, board members, I'm going to make a motion that we declare this property unsafe based on D, E, I, and J of Chapter 92. Can I have a second?
I second it. Marge, will you just explain to, I'm sorry, Mr.
Bourgeois.
Bourgeois.
Bourgeois, sorry, I didn't catch it the first time. What that means for him, if it goes through as a motion?
It just is a process, and it allows the city to, if you don't do the work, it means that we do the work. We don't want to, it's gonna cost you more if we do it. But meanwhile, I don't think there's any argument on your part that the property is not.
It's not livable.
Right,
It's not
right.
livable.
Right.
That's right.
So that's really, so there's this two-step process. Making that decision then allows us to order you to do some things right away. We understand that you're waiting on insurance money, but there are some things that should be done right away. And, you know, really no waiting. And if you don't do it, we probably will do it and bill you for it, which you don't want. So first we're going to determine whether the property is unsafe, and let's go ahead with that vote. We have a motion and a second. Shall we vote, please? Any further discussion? Okay, go ahead, Carrie.
Chair Marzig,
Yes?
Commissioner Palmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Grimm,
Yes.
passes.
Okay, based on that, I think our action should be, again, I told you we have 3 options. We don't think this necessarily requires demolition. But especially since you're planning on repairing it, that's very good. We want you to do that. But I think we need to order that the debris outside the house be cleared immediately. And how many days we're going to give you we'll decide that. And then do a little bit more in terms of covering the side of the house that has the pallets on it, only because that is an access point for both animals and it could, someone could get into the house that way, and it would be very dangerous. You wouldn't want it, and we certainly don't want it. We want to make sure that the house is really secure. So those are, and then, repairing it on a schedule, which you can work out with the code enforcement office. So, and I think you need a building permit. Does he need a building permit?
I do.
Yeah, okay. So I make a motion that we order this property cleaned within 7 days. And then secured within 14 days, and then a plan with the code enforcement office before our next meeting. Which
Can
is,
I interject about the debris clearing?
yeah.
So the reason I haven't got it done is because the only way for me to get it done is I have to get a dumpster there. And I'm laid off from my job. When the fire happened, the cops took $2,000. It was all my cash. And I've literally just been waiting on money. So as soon as the check clears, I got no problem, doing that. It's just with my contractor having COVID or, being sick, I don't know exactly, what that's going to take.
If you have a friend who has a truck, you may be able to just load that insulation and stuff into a truck and take it to the transfer station. I mean, this isn't, there's nothing that is so heavy that you can't throw it into some vehicle and get it out of there. I mean, you could actually probably get it into your own car with a tarp inside and make trips back and forth. I mean, this is not, that's one of the reasons we're a little disappointed that you haven't done that already, because it's not an expensive proposition, clearing up the trash that's outside. Even if you tarped it, just so that it's not blowing around and available to other, going to other properties and encouraging vermin. So that's, do we want some discussion about the timing that we're going to order?
I mean, does the property owner do you have an idea of when you can remove the garbage?
I mean, as soon
and-
as the check clears, that's the first thing that's gonna happen.
I mean, unfortunately, like we've started to receive complaints about this property. I mean, we found out kind of this condition based on complaints. We just assumed that this would have been dealt with at this point. So the reason we finally got involved is, I mean, we've received complaints from other properties about the condition of this property. So, I mean, without having some sort of, I will do this in 14 days, I will do this in 10 days. I mean, I don't have a response to all the people complaining saying, why is the city allowing this house to sit in this condition?
Why don't we give him 14 days, Marge, because he's waiting for the check to clear. He said he just got it. It'll take a couple of days to clear, a couple of days for somebody to drop a dumpster there, and a day or two for him to load it in there. So 14 days instead of 7, is that feasible?
Okay. All right, that's acceptable.
Show some
So
progress.
14 days to clear up the trash and make sure that one side of the house is really secure so that nothing can get in there, animals or people. And then within a month, a plan to the code enforcement office as to how, what your timing is going to be for getting it fully repaired, or at least fully, buttoned up. I know
Enough time for your contractor to hopefully be okay and out of quarantine if he is at this point.
Communicate with us. That's what you need to do.
No, I've been talking to him every day.
Okay, so I
plan.
think that's our motion, is 14 days, clean up and secure, and within a month, a plan to the code enforcement office through the contractor as to how these things are going to go. We just want to make sure that the house is safe for the public. You're obviously not going to go in it. It doesn't have any amenities, but the possibility of other people being injured on your property is obvious. So anyway, that's our motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Further discussion? Okay, go ahead, Carrie.
Chair Merzig,
Yes.
Commissioner Palmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Grimm.
Yes.
Passes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Bourgeois, for being here with us.
Thank you very
And
much.
good luck on getting it fixed up.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Think
Okay,
that-
we had a last minute addition to our agenda. I'm going to let either Steve or John talk to us a little bit about the property on Pine Street. The person who brought this to us is the owner, Shannon McHugh. And I don't know that she's here with us. She was going to come late.
She's not yet connected.
She hasn't joined us. Well, she's any minute. But meanwhile, I think we can talk about it before she gets here.
John,
So
do you want me to spearhead this one?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I think is it 8 Pine?
Yes.
Eight Pine. Okay. So Shannon McHugh owns 2 properties. They're next door to each other. 8 Pine is a rental property that over the last, I don't know, probably close to 2 years now. We've had a lot of issues with garbage, like just stuff being dumped at the property. The neighbors have basically filed like constant complaints about it, rodents, all kinds of stuff. So we actually have cleaned this property. many times. It became kind of almost a financial hardship for the owner because the owner, as much as she tried to maintain the exterior of the property, the tenant just would literally dump garbage in the yard. Finally, we ticketed. I ticketed the owner of the property and kind of encouraged her to seek an eviction from the tenant. COVID then obviously kind of came around. At this point, it's not really. At this point, it doesn't make sense to continue to punish the property owner because honestly, I do not think that they have any ability to deal with the tenant. The police have been involved with the property. They've, I won't go into a lot of details on that, but the police have been involved with the property. There's some illegal activities going on at the property. The tenants are currently not paying any rent. They haven't paid rent. She's trying to evict them. They're continuing to basically just dump garbage. There's an alleged robbery. We obviously aren't involved in that, but all the main floor windows at the house were broken out during an alleged robbery.
Oh my
But
God.
again, that has nothing to do. We aren't saying there was or was not a robbery, but as far as we can tell, the property is secured with what appears to be like 6 mil plastic pulled over the windows. The interior of the property, there's all kinds of hasp locks and kind of weird, like stuff kind of piled in front of the windows. I mean, I think there you go. There's some like weird so that you can't open the door. There's like some weird locking mechanisms. And I think we have a couple of videos that were sent too that kind of shows like a generic, just garbage kind of piled up inside the house. So at this point, I mean, we can continue to, I don't want to say punish the owner, but I don't see where it's reasonable to continue to take the owner to court. Because they honestly have no, like, they're kind of as hamstrung as we are on this one.
And he can't evict them?
Well, so the court is currently only considering evictions, as far as we can tell, that have been where it's been determined that the property is unsafe. So basically, in a case like this, we do believe the property is unsafe. We believe the unsafe conditions were created by the tenant.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we believe that these conditions are caused by the tenant, but they still are unsafe, unsanitary conditions. And the idea would be that the property owner would seek an eviction based on
Declaring it unsafe. Yeah.
I think that's gotta happen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot going on.
There was also some drug activity there.
Yeah, the police have been involved with this property due to illegal activities that are not just limited to drugs. So there's been a lot of
8 Pine Street.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably would be like a legal, like a nuisance house, but again, the owner has really no control over the building.
She's with us now, so we're gonna let her say something too.
Oh, okay.
So Shannon, you want to speak about what we're seeing here?
Absolutely. So, hi, my name is Shannon McHugh. I do know some of you. This is my property, unfortunately. I just want to thank Code real quickly because they've been so helpful. I really am at a loss here.
And that's
Unfortunately,
heroin?
the house has become a drug den. The police. Huh?
That was heroin?
Yeah, so that was outside when I went to.
My God.
No.
I don't know what that all was.
Out those windows. So I'm gonna stop sharing my video so you can hear me.
Okay, great.
What you're seeing is pre-robbery. So all of that mess is pre-robbery. Since the robbery, I've spoken with the detectives. They've been in contact with me, and they said that every single room is demolished, and I can't get in there because I legally don't have access. Even though she has signed paperwork to be evicted and to leave, she's been there for over a year now because of these COVID laws that say that I can't evict her. The only way to remove her would be to go through the court for the house being unsafe, which she's completely made it unsafe of her own doing. The detective believes that she's actually bringing in somebody like from out of town to sell drugs for a couple days and then leave. And then she brings someone new and they leave. Now, just recently they had arrested a felon there with guns, with crystal meth and marijuana and some other things. He is in jail right now, but that was her boyfriend. She's got a new boyfriend in there now. So unfortunately, my hands are tied. She has just done more damage. And when I say, you know, I'm gonna have to take you to court possibly for these damages, she laughs and says she'll just file bankruptcy. It won't matter. So I'm
How many people are living in there now?
It's supposed to be herself and her child. That was the deal. She keeps moving a man in or two men in or three men in at a time, even though they're not on the lease. In fact, they provided a false lease to probation, to parole for these convicts, saying that I signed it and that it's from me, when really she doesn't even have one. So unfortunately, she's going around everything she possibly can, and is absolutely refusing to leave.
Okay.
Well, having the police involved seems to about a good thing too, but.
I mean, this, yeah, there's a certain aspect of this that makes me want to do it blighted too. But on the other hand, we will, if we want to assist Ms. McHugh in getting this tenant out and
So can I
fixing the property up, this is
Can I
the
just
way
make
we're.
a quick comment here before we?
Yeah.
So I would also say that this property is blighted. Unfortunately, all that would do is unnecessarily punish the property owner because the conditions are being caused by, you know,
Other
yeah, I mean, this isn't a situation where Shannon is necessarily causing the conditions, and if she has no legal way to remove the tenant at this point, there's no reason to believe that any of this stuff would be corrected.
Yeah.
Like I think that if the tenant is removed and Shannon then proceeds to not correct the property, I think that's where we could make a blight determination, because then we could say that the owner is not repairing the property. But in this case, I mean, if she, you know, replaces all these windows and they just turn around and break them all out again, I mean, that doesn't really, it doesn't meet the intent of the legislation.
Right. Is there still a child living in this house, Shannon?
As far as I know, CPS did get involved. It's been involved for many years. And, you know, Stephen is correct. Like anything that I do, she just goes and undoes. And unfortunately, I'm behind a year in rent. Like myself, I'm just like to put this all out here. And the property she's done, she's had me in court in the past for her actions with the garbage. I've had to go to court for her. I've had to been dealing with the police constantly. So for me, this property is just a second property. I stay in the house next door, and it basically pays for the taxes, help pays for some of mine. I don't have 5 or 6 or 7 properties. It's just my home and this one. So it's going to take me some time, you know, to get everything together. But I can promise you that prior to this house didn't have any violations. Everything was up to code. We had everything in on time. Code had been watching the house and writing reports on it because we did have those garbage issues. If the house hadn't been to code prior to her doing this damage, we would have known about it. Plus the police are recording when they go in. So they have a good record of what's damaged or not, or what have you. So you can tell in their reports that this is from her and the mails she has in there versus stuff, because she won't even let me in at all. I hadn't been in the house for almost 8 months until the police raid because she refuses to let me in.
Sounds like a police situation to me.
Yeah, it's that So let's make a motion that we declare this property unsafe based on section D, that's damaged by fire, wind, fire, or other causes, obviously by human causes. E, those which have become so dilapidated, decayed, unsafe, or unsanitary, based on their being apparently trashed, according to the police. So that's D, E. Those which have G, which is inadequate facilities for egress, if things are, if the doors are improperly locked, it means that you can't get out in case of a fire. And I, those which have become, because of their condition, are unsafe, unsanitary to the people of the city. And finally, J, those which are in violation of the Chapter 300 zoning. That means D, E, G, I, and J. Any additional items you want to add to that list?
No.
Okay, based on that, I make a motion that we declare this property unsafe.
Second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Clerk, go ahead.
Chair Merzick,
Yes,
Commissioner Palmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Grimm,
Yes.
passes.
okay, our remedy, our order is to vacate the property and repair it. We're going to give Ms. McHugh some time to repair it, but I think the vacation should take place within the next 30 days. I think that should be our order. It probably would be good for us to also order that it be secured following the eviction so that no one else can get in there. We've had several examples of squatters going into what's apparently vacant houses and just living there.
She's gonna get out.
I know. So vacated within 30 days, repaired according to a schedule presented to the code enforcement office once the vacation takes place, and securing the property once the vacation takes place. Is that enough for you, Stephen and John?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I would make the vacate, I mean, as minimal as possible. I mean, we would like to we'll post the building. And then if the tenant chooses not to vacate on their own, we'll just start ticketing them. But yeah, I wouldn't, I mean.
You want 10 days? What do you want?
I would say 10 days.
Okay. Is that acceptable to the rest of the board?
Yes, it is. Fine with
Okay.
me.
Really, that's the most important step we're taking.
Yep.
So if that's your recommendation, I think we can live with that. I'll change my motion to that effect. Any additional comments or concerns? Okay, go ahead, Carrie.
Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Chair Merzick,
Yes.
Commissioner Palmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Levinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Grimm,
Yes.
passes.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. McHugh, you will get a letter right away saying that we've made this determination and what the order says. So you'll have this in writing. You can take it to the court.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Good luck, Shannon.
Okay, I don't, have we got any other items that, 30 Watkins. Mark asked us to discuss 30 Watkins. It's owned by, I think we have pictures.
Let me take a look.
Okay.
Mr. Hunter might still be on with a question.
Oh, yes, Mr. Hunter. You have a question?
Actually, I don't necessarily have a question, although I did submit a copy of the check to
Oh, you did?
John already. Actually, I'm strictly on for curiosity at this point in time.
Oh, that's fine. You can stay. I mean, the public is invited to our meeting. It's just that.
I just wasn't sure if you still had a question because he was still here.
Yeah,
Dan,
okay.
you're not allowed to stay on the meeting. Get off.
I know.
Enjoy the show.
No, you're welcome to stay. So 30 Watkins is a property that is in a trusteeship in Texas.
I have no photographs, sorry.
Okay, that's all right. So I think the board received some photographs of this property. The bushes are overgrown. The paint is peeling. The front fence is falling apart. I don't think we're ready. There's some thought that it might have been sold, but we don't have any evidence of that.
Can I just jump in real quick on this one too?
Yes, please. Yeah. Mhm.
So I was contacted by someone from the city who purchases properties that I know, who had said that her and her husband had walked through it to look at buying it, and that the same day they had looked at it, someone had made an offer on it. That's the only reason that I think it potentially was in the process of being either purchased or sold. So that's why I responded that way. I have not seen anything officially that would indicate it's been sold, but based on that conversation, it seemed like someone had at least made an offer or it was up for sale. So
I believe Mayor Rabushkin probably purchased that.
Okay.
Who did?
He's the rabbi at the church next door.
Oh.
So I guess with that said, I mean, I think that we should definitely keep this one on the radar as far as, properties that do need attention. But I think making a decision today to declare it blighted would be, somewhat
premature. Yeah. What about the fence though? Can we do something about that?
We can send a violation notice to them right now. If we know that they purchased it, we can say, hey, you need to clean this property up.
Yeah, let's plan to do that and then we'll see what the response is. Because it would be nice to put it on the prior owner rather than the new owner and let it be resolved at the closing rather than wait until the new owner and then surprise, we've got some issues with this property. So I think it might be worthwhile for us to make some motion now and then see where we are. I mean, if I imagine if the rabbi buys it, he's probably going to fix it up a little bit. So I mean, that'd be great. So we want that to happen in a timely fashion. So I don't know, what do you think?
I think that's great. Is if they'll do it, if they'll clean it up.
Yeah, I mean, the fence is the most offensive part of it because it's falling into the sidewalk and it looks really bad.
Our owners should take care of that before they pass it on. That's for sure. But
or we can take the fence down. Right. So whatever. Shall I leave that up to Mark? Will you pursue it a little bit?
I'd be happy to. I'm not exactly sure how you'd want me to pursue it.
Well, just first of all, get back to Monet.
Yes.
Rothenberg and let her know that we.
And I know Mayor, so I know Mayor Rabushkin, so I can connect.
So you could ask him and just tell him that there's some concerns about the condition of the property and we may be taking action, especially on the exterior.
Yeah, I think.
So if they know that and then take action themselves, that's great.
Right, and I think the bones of the fence are still there, so it might be worth it to save the fence rather than tearing it down. So
yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to save the fence.
It would, but right now it's actually literally a tripping hazard. So I'll talk to Monet certainly to keep her up to speed on this.
That's great.
That's really great. But I can talk to Mayor.
I mean, if the fence is collapsed, we can clear it tomorrow. I mean, if it's in the sidewalk, we can clear it tomorrow.
It is.
I mean, that's an easy.
In the sidewalk.
It is in the sidewalk, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy one because that's no longer a private property thing. That's obstructing the sidewalks. I mean, we can remove that tomorrow. I just didn't want to go so far as to kind of go into the blighting thing. If we were going to have someone that was basically going to get a random notice, hey, by the way,
Yeah, right. Welcome to Oneonta. Here's your notice.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so other items that you want to bring to us before we close our meeting? Anything?
I just wanted to follow up on that one property that Mark has again, just to see where we are.
Oh, 30,
That's a
30,
disaster.
36 Cherry?
Yeah.
Well, it's sporting new signage now. Stephen and I were talking about.
Yeah. I
Oh,
don't,
yeah. I mean, so we've been obviously we've been contacted by an attorney representing the owner. You know, we obviously disagree with the interpretation of what happened with that particular property. As far as I know, we have nothing new on that property. So other than the fire department placarded it, which is there's a red X on it, well, red and white X. It basically is a way to tell the fire department that basically the property could be a hazard to first responders, so that they shouldn't, enter, just contain the fire. Don't go inside the building. So I actually have a meeting with the fire department tomorrow morning, and we're going to go over some of those properties. But yeah, so as far as the condition of the property, it has not improved. He obviously disagrees with the blighted determination. We do not. So I guess we'll see how that plays out.
You know, I can say, just adding this anecdotal piece, that wildlife agent is being kept very busy by the neighbors around here, rounding up or trying to various vermin that have a place to escape to at 36 Cherry Street. So
that's
on the other hand, I mean, a small business is doing well. There's that.
Okay.
Look to look
Anything-
at Mark.
That's humor he's got.
Oh, goodness. Any additional comments from the board? Thank you all for joining us again in this strange way. Hopefully, one of these days, we'll all see each other's faces in the Common Council chamber. So thanks, and I'll see you in a month. Our next meeting is, April 3rd, 4th?
4th, right?
April 1st.
April,
don't- Is it really?
It is. Not joking.
April what?
No, it is.
It is.
No.
April 1st?
Yep.
Okay, well, there you go.
Oh, that's not good.
Well, it'll be fun. It'll be the beginning of water bills. So we'll be getting our water bill appeals then. So anyway,
Already
thank you all
received
for
our
being
first
here.
one.
Yeah, thanks very much, and see you in a month.
Have a good day. Stay
All
safe.
right, you
everybody.
too.